It's time for our pit stop. Here, we take a brief rest. It's a time to refuel, recharge, and explore shorter topics that are meaningful and helpful to us RVers. Welcome to RV Out West. I'm your host, Brooks. I'm excited to announce a second sponsor of RV Out West. I guess when it rains, it pours. But this sponsor is Camper Alerts. We chatted with Thomas back in episode 49 as he shared with us his solution for us RVers getting access to sold-out campsites. If you haven't listened to that episode, please go back and give it a listen. Be sure to check out camperalerts.com too and give it a try and set an alert for only $2. Now, on to the show. A magical place exists only 150 easy interstate miles from downtown Seattle and only 138 miles from Spokane. As you leave Seattle going east on I-90, the metronome of the white lane strips begin to make a rhythmic cadence, propelling you forward. As each mile wanes, just past Issaquah, there becomes a sense of the open road. You may roll the window down a bit and let the wind tease your hair. You reach for the dial on your stereo, and you give that knob a little turn clockwise, just as your right foot slightly presses down more on the pedal, accelerating you a bit faster as you make the pilgrimage with your friends and your camping gear towards the Gorge Amphitheater. Nick Davis, a geologist at Central Washington University, explained in the documentary Enormous how the Columbia River Gorge was formed. He says that while the Grand Canyon was formed over 5 to 6 million years, it took mere minutes for the Columbia River flood to create that striking narrow valley whose geography practically demands an amphitheater. The Gorge Amphitheater was originally called Champs-de-Brion Music Theater back in the mid-1980s. The original amphitheater was owned by a neurosurgeon, Dr. Vincent Bryan, and his wife, Carol. They had purchased acreage in this location to open a winery under the same name, but it is now known as Cave B. As the story goes, one afternoon, Vincent and Carol, along with a few friends, were out walking their property when they found this natural amphitheater. Vincent had Carol and some friends walk down about 1,000 feet away, and from where Vincent was standing, he could easily hear their every word. That sparked the idea of creating an outdoor concert venue for their guests to enjoy with a bottle of wine. But what put their tiny little concert venue on the map was a show on August 20th, 1988, when Bob Dylan and Tracy Chapman performed. After that performance, the secret was out and the venue just rocketed to success. It was renamed the Gorge Amphitheater in 1993 when it was acquired by MCA and expanded to a 19,000-seated venue. The Gorge Amphitheater has earned 9 Pollstar Magazine awards for Best Outdoor Music Venue and has been voted as one of the best outdoor concert venues in America by Concert Boom. Now let's pause to hear a word from today's sponsor. It's summertime and the great outdoors are calling. But did you forget to book a campsite 9 months ago? Well, don't worry. Say goodbye to sold-out campgrounds with Camper Alerts. With Camper Alerts, you can choose your campground, select your site type, and set a personalized alert. And when a site becomes available, they will notify you. It's that simple. Visit camperalerts.com today and start setting your alerts. Over the years, I have been to numerous shows at this intimate venue. What I love about this place is that you are there, in the midst of not only such a spectacular place, but you are part of the performance. There is an energy here that to some degree is unexplainable. This venue really is a crown jewel of music. One of the most memorable shows that I've seen here was the Horde Festival on August 4th, 1996. In fact, I'm somewhat embarrassed to even admit it, but I still have the concert shirt from this show buried in my t-shirt drawer. This concert was headlined by Blues Traveler and an up-and-coming band called Dave Matthews Band, who had just released their first album, Crash. Lenny Kravitz and Rusted Root also performed. All 4 of these bands are incredible in their own right. This show is and has been in my top 5 shows of my life thus far. When I was in college, I spent a September weekend in 1997 there at the Gorge, and there I saw Jimmy Buffett. We brought hardly any food, just tequila and margarita fixins, which we were able to trade for some hot dogs. I have also seen Fish here, and that show was equally just as tremendous and monumental. There is nothing like watching a band you love as the sun sets behind over the Columbia River, the magic light making the gorge glistening in a bath of warm tones. It really is a special place. Back in the 90s, camping was only $20 a carload, and it didn't matter how many bodies you could stuff into your car. It was an open field with honey buckets and trash barrels dotting the landscape. It was car camping, and it was a blast. The scene after the show was always just so much fun, with people milling about, talking about the show, music, the band, sharing beverages and partying well into the night. Today, it is mostly orchestrated with some additional amenities that also come with an increased cost. This past summer, we towed our 26-foot travel trailer, and based on the size of our trailer, we had to upgrade our camping spot in a field, and camping for the night was $165, with no hookups, just to dry camp. Depending on the level of camping that you buy into, one of the added benefits is that they have a shuttle service to the entrance of the amphitheater. The basic camping spot does mean that you will have a healthy walk to get to the venue. But since this show is about RVing, if you bring your RV, then by default, you will be afforded the shuttle service. It was stated in the documentary Enormous that the Columbia River Gorge was a groove cut into the landscape over time, much like a vinyl record. Dry camping at the Gorge, seeing live music out in the middle of Washington State, is just a perfect way to spend a weekend. This venue, as I stated previously, is just majestic and a really special place to visit here in the Pacific Northwest. Find a show and go. Thank you so much for listening. I deeply appreciate it. I'm asking you to help the show grow. Please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode, and be sure to share with a fellow RVer about this show. Bonus if you leave RV Out West a rating and a review. Thanks so much for listening to RV Out West. Join us again in 2 weeks with our next episode. Please like and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or wherever you choose to get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And I sure would appreciate if you left a rating or a review of the show. Special thanks to Scott Holmes Music for providing the intro song, We Are One. RV Out West can be found on Instagram and Facebook, where you can interact with us and follow along on our RV adventures around the Pacific Northwest. So get out there, explore, and go see what's beyond the horizon.